still can't overlook how we play the run. You still got to put a good emphasis how you play the run and stuff. But that's getting to the quarterback and affecting the quarterback is still a big part of us having a dominant defense.
I know Jakeem Stewart has bounced between the end and tackle.
Him and Devin are probably our best swing guys that will be inside and outside. Devin will definitely bring the experience part. Jakeem is learning how to play, and it's a tricky part because you don't want a young guy like Jakeem, supposed to be still a senior in high school, to have too much on his plate. But I thought he did a great job of trying to grasp everything that we threw at him in the spring.
Kind of amazing that he can play one position, let alone two, being that young.
Yeah, when I go to heaven, I ask God why he didn't build me like that. You know what I mean? But you know what? He's a great competitor, and he also knows he still has long ways to go. But you just get so excited with the foundation and the bottom line.
He played so few games
No doubt.
At the high school level. What told you guys that he would be at this level, in spite of not really having a ton of evidence?
Well, one is his size alone, and then just his ability to move that big size, that big frame. You just say, oh, like, dang, this is a must get because this is a young man that could not only have position flexibility to play inside and outside, but he just has those traits and those skill set that could take over a game just from a size dominant perspective. And you're hoping that the mentality matches it, and we're very, very excited and encouraged with his mentality.
You've been here all 4 years. What's it been like to see the transformation of this defensive end room? Obviously, you have Anthony when he comes back, Cam, Braylon, possibly Jakeem, and others. What's it been like from year one to kind of where it is now?
Just bigger. I think the emphasis on the profile of what you're really looking for is, you want bigger without sacrificing speed. You just don't want, but they're fitting the profile that we're really going after, which is the tall, the long, but most importantly, the mentality part. They're all competitors, and they have the capability and skill set to fulfill what we feel like it's going to require for us to be a dominant defense. Yeah, so it's grown in that way a lot. Hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah.
In terms of Devin, I know you mentioned just how raw he was when he came in. When you look at him now, what aspect of his game has taken the biggest leap, maybe since those early days?
The intelligence part of the game, knowing when to take his shots, what types of tools to use in certain situations. The game of football is filled with every play's a situation. Devin's done a great job of matching what we call to that situation and adapting his skill set and his game to it. And I think most of all is him understanding what his body can and can't do in different situations that we put him in. You put him inside, he knows his strength and weakness. Put him outside, he knows his strength and weaknesses there. And for someone with that experience, it's fun to see him apply it in all those different areas.
And his body has changed so much during that time, so he can do a lot more.
So much more. He's stronger, he's more flexible. Before, you can't even touch his toes, you can't bend, but he's just so much more confident. Yeah.
I know you developed a lot of guys who I'm sure came in raw and came out much more developed. Anyone who's kind of made that big of a leap that you've coached that comes to mind immediately? Or?
Mozzie Smith, the nose tackle at Michigan, he came in, you see his body when he came in, just completely changed when he left. He's probably the one that stands out.
He's with the Cowboys?
He's with the Cowboys now, yeah.
That's what I thought.
I know he's not on the edge, but just what's it been like for you to see Kobe Pepe from day one from when you were here?
That's another good one right there. Kobe Pepe, that's another great one. Just, Devin is probably the one that we get a lot of props to, but Kobe is another guy that he always had, his body transformation was different. You see him coming out of the high school, he's more like a 3-tech, maybe a DN / now he's like a full-time nose tackle body, and just to see him take advantage of that transformation is awesome as well.
What sort of presence did Anthony Lucas have with the team this spring? Obviously, we didn't see him on the field, just recovering. What sort of presence did he have in meeting rooms and stuff?
His, just his hunger and when you get hurt and you're out, you just have a different perspective and appreciation for the game. So he's done a great job of just trying to help out the young guys, like take advantage of all the opportunities that you can get. And then especially with the playbook, we have some young guys that come in and he's done a good job of helping them out.
I'm not saying he's Aiden, but you coached Aiden Hutchinson
Nobody's Aiden.
Does
Yeah.
Cam Fountain have any similar traits that you've seen from as a pass rusher?
Very similar, but they're all different, man. There's not going to be another Aiden. There's not going to be another Thule. And I hope Cam is better than all of them, just because he's who we have now. And there's stuff that Cam can do early on in his career that Aiden and Thule and those guys probably couldn't do, but same vice versa. But it's very, very fun and it's exciting.
Aiden gonna lead the NFL in sacks this year?
He's better. He's better.
I'm a Lions fan. So
No way. How'd
yeah.
you become a Lions fan? They
I'm
were
from
back for
Michigan.
so many.
I
You
know.
are?
Yeah. I went to Michigan.
Are you a Wolverine then?
I am.
Man, what's he doing in here now, man? How we
Wait,
let
you were
this
a
guy in
Wolverine?
here? Was. I'm a Trojan now. Nah, man. Yeah, there you go.
For sure, man.
Yeah, I love that place.
I was a long-suffering Lions fan, so
I appreciate you, bro.
With Elijah Newby, joining that
Yeah.
room, how did he kind of take to that change and just learning a new thing?
Listen, I don't think, man, that is a special young man right there, man, Elijah Newby, to ask him to move to D-line, and we might ask him to do multiple stuff, so he's done a great job but that's who he is first and foremost. You got to look at his mentality, how unselfish he is. You ask him, well, what's best for the team? That's like his first answer. So he's done a great job providing depth too, with Lucas being out during spring, and he's a young man that loves the game of football. There's some adjustments that he has to get used to, especially from a size perspective. He's not the biggest, so we got to make him understand how to utilize his speed more to take advantage of his shortcomings.
Any stories from that speed showing up on the field, like on the practice field this
Yeah,
year?
when he knows exactly what he's doing, it's hard to block him on the edge. And then, you'll see him run to the ball and all that kind of stuff. It's fun to have different types of tools in your bag.
I'm always curious how position changes come. Is that like you see something, you're like, hey, Coach Riley, I think we need to move, or does it come to you like, I think we want to add?
No, majority of the time is that we control it. You see a skill or an asset that you feel like could help you on the edge. You go watch his high school stuff. That's probably where it first started. You watch Newby in high school, he comes off the edge very well. So I was like, we're going into this sprint with no Anthony Lucas. Let's add a body, while we're waiting for Gus Cordova and Ramos to get here. So it was one of those, we need a little bit more depth. And then who's qualified, and you see Newby and his skill set. So it's necessity.
We talk a lot about his speed, but where have you seen his strength show up in spring? So it looks like he's added some weight up top.
Yeah, he's added some weight, and every time you have a young man in your program, every year is a plus because of the experience and the knowledge that they gain. So he's already been in the playbook, even though he learned it from a linebacker perspective. Well, linebackers has to know what the front is doing. So you see him adapt and adjust very well in the transition that we asked him to be in.
You mentioned Jaden and Gus coming in.
Yep.
Anticipate both of those guys playing on the edge defensive end for you.
Oh yes.
Okay.
Yep.
I know Jaden was a late target you guys had. What did you guys see on tape that you guys?
Explosiveness. You saw some twitchiness on the film, and then you meet him. You're like, oh, he really does have some good height, and then you see the upside of it. So it's probably the first trait is I always like guys that love the game of football. The next one is explosiveness, and that's what you have.
I've heard a lot of guys talk about the escape room experience you guys had over the winter team bonding. How was that for you as the coach with all these guys running around?
I didn't like it. My favorite part was to watch them work together. And I told them, I'm just going to sit here because I know all the answers already. I'll let you guys handle it. Would it be fair if I adjusted? But I just think that was Devin Tompkins' idea. And once you empower these young men to lead, that's where the real magic happens. And it was a fun experience for me.
Have you seen anything change mentally for Cam? Just, how he ended last season, just playing more, getting some sacks, just going into this year?
Yeah, it's one of those things like you don't play a lot. You don't get to eat, and then once you start tasting the meal, you're like, oh, I want more of that. That's exactly what's happening with Cameron. Now he got a good taste of it, and now he wants more, and I'm like, shoot, this is a buffet, Cam. Go eat all you want. So it's one of those things that it was a big plus that he got those experiences at the end of the year last year.
Where have you seen this game kind of grow throughout this offseason, through spring? Where have you seen it grow?
The intelligence part. I don't know if Cam knew what a gap was when he first got here. Now he can line up and he's willing to line up anywhere and play. So the fact that he took his game to that level, because it was never about his physical ability, it was always about the mental part. And this young man is so proud of how he accepted that challenge, and he's now embracing it.
Are you and Coach Henny just like super giddy at all the depth you guys have this year and the size?
Very, but I'm at the point of my career now. I'll get giddy when our goals are accomplished.
What are the goals for you?
To win, to maximize the potential of our guys, and we truly believe if we can maximize their potential, that's where winning games and championships comes back. So that's where our focus is, just what's important today. You know what I mean? And that's our main focus. It's just, so to answer your question, are we giddy? Heck yeah, we are giddy, but we also know we got work to do.
We asked Coach Hansen about going up against the D-line all spring. What did you see going up against that O-line all spring?
There's some young guys that they threw in there. Unfortunately, there were some injuries. You see them that they're still trying to come together as a unit. But you are also excited with some of the guys that, like Alani, Tobias, those are some of the guys that stood out. You know what I mean? So it was impressive to see them grow as well, because I know Alani played a lot, but Tobias did, but he stood out to us as well. So it's fun to see their potential too. Probably not as many people talk about their potential as much as the D-line is, but they got some stuff there.
How have you seen Braylon handle this offseason mentally? A guy who had a really high expectation going into the season as a starter, did get some starts, maybe didn't have the production that he was hoping for. How have you seen him attack this offseason and handle it mentally?
Braylon always attacks it the right way. Durability is a big part of this game, and there's certain ways you challenge guys if they're some of the things that they're probably deficient on, things they need to work on. Braylon, he stays healthy, he's going to be a very impactful player. Some people you challenge from an intellect standpoint, skill standpoint. He understands exactly, and it's not a question of him attacking if he is attacking. He's doing a great job. You see the weight room, his numbers are high, and he loves to play the game. Just gotta stay healthy.
We saw Jakeem obviously bouncing back and forth. What did you see when he was working with you with those defensive
that he's capable of doing it all. Probably way more sounder on the interior, but when he's dialed in and know exactly what he's doing on the edge, you see the potential. So we want to make sure that with someone with that talent, we want to make sure that utilize them as much as possible, as long as his mentals and his confidence not affected. So that's a major focus for us to make sure that that's not interrupted, and he wants more now. So that's the positive thing about Jakeem, is he is a football guy.
Coach Henny said something about him not having to be Superman on every play.
Yeah.
That's something you've seen, just like trying to...
That's the message to everybody. It's just, you have a specific job. You do that job to the best of your ability without doing someone else's job. That's the name of the game. That's why this is the ultimate team sport. And if he does his job, yes, he probably can do two people's job, but that's not the focus. And sometimes it hurts him, but there's also times you're like, holy smoke, he did a good job, but we want to emphasize just perfect your job.
How do you balance that with a guy? He's kind of built to be an outside guy, but he also can play inside, and he's super young. How do you kind of manage where he fits in a role, or how does it all work?
I always base off his confidence, and his confidence comes from what he knows. If I feel like it's too much, I would be like, Henny, let's just leave him inside today. The install today was too much for him. You know what I mean? Let's tail off. And then I think that's why working with Henny is so awesome, because we have the same goal, and we are going to accomplish those goals because we're attacking it the same way. So if we feel like it's too much from an install, we'll probably leave him in one spot. But the spring is the greatest thing that's ever happened to him, because by the time fall camp comes, he's going to probably want to play linebacker. That's how much knowledge that we are throwing at him.
Did Jade play on the edge with you at all?
No, very little. Yeah, he got too big, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he is capable. Yeah.
What has you most excited about your position group this season?
I'm excited the most to see how much this group can come together and work together, because I really believe they can take over a game. That's what I'm mostly excited about. Like, I'm not saying they're there yet. We're not. But the excitement is there to bring these guys together, and they are doing a great job of just keep coming together and working together for the goal of every play should be a domination play from the defensive line.
You brought up Ramos earlier. What do you see from Gus Cordova?
Oh man, I think Gus is still running over here. He can't wait to get here, you know. And he's another guy with a lot of passion for the game. We're going to get him here and you know, do a good job of transitioning him into it. Like, we're excited about his intensity more than anything else.
Those sacks were kind of hard to come by last year consistently. Is there anything you've seen this spring or this offseason where you're like, we're going to be better? Like, we're going to be better this season?
I always start with myself. Like, what can me as a coach do to help them? Like, it's, you know, I will always take the blame for little sacks and all that stuff, but what have we seen this year is just guys understanding that as well. You know, like, sacks are hard to come by, so the efficiency to execute every single play to get to the quarterback, especially if the offense decides to pass, there's the urgency that is beyond understanding right now that we got to get to. So what I've seen is they got the assignment, they got the message. We got to get to that backfield.